evening, everybody. This is the Devil's Den podcast, episode number 2, numero dos. I'm here with my co-host,
Chris Georgiou.
Chris, man. We got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
This past week,
Unfortunately.
it's been quite unfortunate. I mean, the Everton game, I guess you count that as last week, but the Everton game was quite positive. What were your thoughts on that game?
I think it was good. I think the performance was very, very good. It wasn't really a tough game.
Yeah.
Everton didn't really come to play, in my opinion. It was more of a training session for us.
Yeah. I was surprised
they didn't really hit us too hard.
I was surprised because Sean Dyche normally has his team set up pretty organized and well, but they didn't really seem to know what to do.
They had so much space in behind, and with us playing on the counter and our pace in front, it was...
Anthony had so many chances.
I know. He should have scored at least 2.
I mean, if you look at the stats here, we had 29 shots to their 15. We had 11 on target to their 1 shot on target, and they had 1 big chance, while we had 7 big chances, and we missed 6 of those big chances.
Yeah, I think the only downside really to that game, other than Rashford's injury, is the fact that we need more clinical attackers, because 7 big chances created and 6 big chances missed is really, really poor.
And we had 3.46 XG, so I think we need to be more clinical, especially
definitely
when you look at those shots that Anthony had, some of the chances that we had throughout that game.
Yeah,
I'm happy we won 2-0, but on the whole,
it could have been a lot worse for them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had 64% possession, almost 300 more passes than they did. They didn't really have a foothold in the game, apart from that 1 big chance they had.
Yeah,
which they whiffed, but I don't know. They didn't really provide too much.
No,
they didn't threaten us at all, really. Do you think there were any big negatives other than the Rashford?
Other than not converting our chances and Rashford getting injured, I didn't really see much wrong with that on the day.
Did any players impress you, really?
I think Sancho was standout.
Sancho was big.
Yeah, he created a bunch of chances. He was bright. He was good on the ball, getting around players, getting the tricks out. It was a good day for him after a nice couple good games for him.
He seems to be growing in confidence for sure.
Yeah, today kind of dropped a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah, today against Sevilla.
Wasn't as great today.
He had some good moments, but on the whole, I don't think the team played.
No, it was a poor team performance, especially after the first 20 minutes.
I think the mojo kind of left as soon as they started pressing more.
Yeah.
So if we talk about Sevilla's game, I think one big thing was that they started off really, really conservative, and they didn't really press us. And you could see De Gea had a lot of time to find passes when we were playing it back to him, and they were pretty calm on the ball. But once they started pressing, they kind of realized
getting him to release it more quickly.
And I've been saying
it in the midfield and stuff. And
I want De Gea to be able to learn how to play the ball better. But at this point, I feel like it might be a little bit too late for him in his career to truly become a more dimensional.
He did make some good saves today, though.
Yeah, he had a few good saves.
Maybe 1 or 2 nice ones.
Yeah, I think one of the headers near the end of the game. But
the goals, I don't think he really could have. Maybe the first one done a little better, but it was really caught on the inside.
It was coming at him really fast.
The deflection came at him really fast.
When you're watching the slow motion, obviously you can say he can do this, he can do that, but when it comes at him that fast, it's just really hard to deal with.
Just unlucky.
Massively unlucky. I mean, Sevilla literally had. They didn't score a goal. We scored both of their goals. We scored literally both of their goals. They didn't. Both of the goals weren't even. The first one wasn't even a shot. It was a cross. The second one was a shot, but it was going to go wide. And it hit off of the back of Maguire's head.
I can't believe how bad that header was. That was going so far wide. That's probably why Harry was not expecting it, because he wasn't even in a position where he could really clear that, because you would assume a header like that would go straight on goal.
Yeah.
But instead it goes wide off of him into the goal.
You can't write it, man. You can't write it.
You can't make it up.
Just some things just happen, and it's just
make it up.
When you watch it, we're leading 2-0 all the way into the 84th minute. No one would have ever been able to predict them coming back and scoring.
In the 84th minute, 2 own goals in the last 10 minutes.
Not to mention
your best player getting
Lisandro Martinez gets injured.
A possible 6 to 8 weeks is what we're hearing.
And then Varane also gets injured at halftime, so Bruno has to come on.
Bruno out for the second leg.
It's just It's a nightmare situation for us. How do you see us going forward with this situation?
I don't know. We'll have to see tomorrow or in the next couple of days when the medical team assesses the injuries to Varane and Martinez.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it
obviously,
ain't looking great at the moment.
Bruno is just a suspension for the second leg, so we'll have to cope without him. Maguire Lindelof is looking likely next Thursday.
What do you think about Eric Bailly being called back? Think that's a possibility in the realm of possibility?
No,
I think
that was banter.
I also don't think that he's the type of player Ten Hag would love.
No,
he definitely. I don't think.
Okay, maybe if Varane and Martinez are both long-term injuries for multiple weeks, then possibly we need options because right now it's just.
It's tragic right now. Bro.
Yeah, Maguire.
It's tragic.
I mean,
right now.
Shaw is injured, so when he comes back, he can play left center back.
Yeah,
he's played there before.
Think about it. Just take a moment to think about all the injuries we have this season.
Yeah,
we've got Lissandro now injured. Eriksen had a long injury. Martial had injury problems. Rashford's now injured.
Shaw's out.
Shaw's been out. Garnacho's been out for a while. Varane is now has an injury. McTominay's had some injuries. Sancho had to be out of the squad for a while.
Yeah.
Casemiro's had two suspensions.
We haven't had our strongest 11 fielded together at the same time.
No, it's just when you look at the teams like Arsenal, they have such a consistent group of players. Yeah. And maybe they'll have one or two guys out.
Or like City with their depth, like they can always call upon quality players to step up. And like we don't have that amount of depth
I think we have gotten unlucky with injuries.
Yeah.
And even if we had a certain amount of depth, I still feel like we'd still be hit pretty hard with this injury. I don't even know what you call it. This crazy run of injuries, but it's just super unfortunate. So, I mean, what do you think about top four? You think we're getting top four now?
Top four, yeah. I think it's definitely attainable over Spurs, who are very, very inconsistent. They also have to find a new manager. So, I mean, that could change their season. And then Newcastle, I think it's between those three teams, United, Spurs, and Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Nagelsmann actually declined Spurs.
Did he?
That's probably just rumors, but I don't know. I feel like he's probably going to have to wait till the summer to get a job, and they might be looking in the summer. Also, if you look at the table, Aston Villa have kind of snuck into the situation.
Oh, wow.
They've played the same amount of games as Spurs, and they're only 6 points away from Spurs.
So that's the gap from fourth.
Brighton has played
5th to 6th is 6 points.
Yeah, and then Brighton has played 28 games, so they have 2 games in hand on Spurs, and they have 46 points. So if they win those 2 games,
they're a point.
They'll be 4 points behind Spurs. Do you think Liverpool are still in play?
53. It's a good question. It's going to be an interesting.
Liverpool are in 8th.
It's going to be an interesting on both ends of the table.
Yeah,
because the title race. I don't think anyone can really be confident in who's going to win because Arsenal and City still have to play each other, and Arsenal have a tough run-in at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere in the league, it's...
The bottom half of the table is...
super competitive.
Is very, very tight. There's only a couple points separating every team in the...
I mean, if you look at 12th place, 12th place is only 6 points ahead of Nottingham Forest, who's in 18th in the relegation zone.
That's crazy.
So there's still...
That's like a whole half of the team of the league.
Yeah, there's about 8 teams or so that are still in the relegation scrap. And then if you look at the top 4 battle, you got Newcastle, like you said, United, Tottenham, even Aston Villa is kind of
Aston Villa, around Brighton, there. Fulham.
Brighton are a sneaky team too.
A little bit.
Fulham have dropped off, but
Brentford.
I mean, it's going to be a crazy ending of the season. Yeah. Because every team really has something to fight for. I mean, Chelsea are just trying to avoid a bit more further embarrassment. They could even, if you think about it, if the relegation teams, if they all win a game and Chelsea loses a game, Chelsea could be pulled into a relegation battle, man. I mean, it's probably not realistic because they have such a good. I don't get how Chelsea are not higher up, but
they've had an interesting season.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence.
I think
with
appointing Lampard is such a weird move. In my opinion.
I'm kind of on the fence with whether United are going to get top 4 or not. I think it all depends now.
I'm confident.
I think we have to focus either on the league though or the cups, because if we focus too much on the cups,
the thing is, if the reason we're focusing on top 4 is to play Champions League, And the reason for winning the Europa League is to win a trophy, obviously.
Yeah.
But it also qualifies you for the Champions League automatically.
So you think we should focus more on Europa?
I think focusing on Europa wins you a trophy, which is what Ten Hag has come here to do.
Yeah.
So look at Mourinho's first season. We finished 6th, but we won the Europa League, so we were able to play Champions League. And no one really cares if you finish 6th one season. Like, when you win a trophy, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously, going in with a 2-0 lead to Seville would have been a lot better than it being a stalemate. But, I think we are a better team than they are.
And if you look
and I think we should be able to win this competition.
If you look at the Europa League as well, you had Feyenoord beat Roma 1-0.
We are definitely the favorites.
Leverkusen tied to Union.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say the rest of the name. Union St. Gilles 1-1. And Juventus only beat Sporting 1-0. So, I mean, at this point, really, it's...
all the second legs have everything up for grabs.
Yeah, so...
it could be anyone in the semis.
It could be anyone.
There's no draw, right? They still have to draw again?
No, it's Juventus would be the semis for us. Sporting or Juventus.
Is there a bracket?
Yeah, Sporting or Juventus, and then on the other side it's Feyenoord. So if we go on to win this, we're playing either Sporting or Juventus, and Juventus won 1-0, but it was at home though. So Sporting, they could pull off another upset like they did against Arsenal in the last round. So I mean, I do think that we could win Europa, but I don't know. I think you're a bit too optimistic in terms of, dude, we have no center backs now.
Yeah, I
Maguire
think
and Lindelof are starting pair.
It's dependent on what the diagnosis is with the injuries, because that literally makes or breaks our season.
Are you confident at all in Maguire and Lindelof? Because they've proven time and time again.
I'm confident on Lindelof. I'm not too sure about Maguire. I don't even think he was really poor today, though. I also
don't think we can blame him for the own goal.
No, you can't.
It's really just super unfortunate. It's just a really unfortunate situation.
It had to happen to him. Like, there was just
no other player would have. Like, it's just so written.
That's kind of what the player. That's kind of the player he's kind of become, though. It's the player that stuff like that happens to him, and he's kind of just become kind of just a joke. Kind of a joke in a way.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
he's like a walking meme at this point.
It's sad to say.
Stuff like that just happens to him, and it just gives everyone more stuff to clown him for.
Which game do you think is worse impact on the team? The 7-0 defeat to Liverpool, or this game today with all the injuries?
I think the 7-0 is just the biggest fluke result in history.
Yeah.
Like, that came out of nowhere. Like,
dude,
I don't even know what happened.
Today feels like we've literally just lost the war.
In terms of the season, this could be more derailing, though, because of the players we lost and just how the game ended.
Yeah. So for the next match, we're gonna have to go with Martial, Sancho, Antony starting. So still a good starting attack. No Bruno.
If Martial can stay fit for more than 2 games.
Yeah, as long as he can survive these next couple practices, and then we'll have probably Sabitzer at the 10.
Sabitzer.
Then we'll have Eriksen at the 8.
Or it could be Sabitzer or Eriksen. I think it'll be Sabitzer, Eriksen, and Casemiro.
Yeah.
And they'll be rotating around.
And then in defense, we'll have Maguire, Lindelof, Tyrell Malacia, Wan-Bissaka or Dalot, do you think? It's got to be Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think
he had an okay game today. He wasn't great, but he wasn't horrible.
Yeah. He didn't really connect a lot of his passes well, but...
yeah, he had a couple mistakes, but I feel like the whole team did.
Yeah.
I thought Casemiro had a good game back, though, after being suspended for some time.
Did.
He had some really good passes and stuff, so... yeah, I feel like, on the whole, really a negative game, but I think Ten Hag is going to have them ready for the next leg and the rest of the season, so...
I think Forest should be a good...
Let's talk about the upcoming games. So we got Forest at the weekend, and then we got Sevilla next Thursday, and then Brighton in the FA Cup after that.
On a Sunday?
What are your thoughts on... Forest is away, Sevilla is away, and Brighton is at Wembley. So no home games next week.
And we've seen that we haven't really been too great away from home this season.
We've been
really been at home where we've been getting most of our results.
Yeah.
Forest away.
They're not a good team. They're not.
No.
They're 18th. There's a reason that they're in the relegation zone right now. I don't know. I don't rate them at all. Brennan Johnson is really their only attacking threat.
Yeah.
So as long as we can neutralize him, I think it's going to be. It should be a good result for us. I mean, it's a hard ground to go to, but I don't know. We should be dealing with them pretty easily if we want to be, talking as if we're in the, top four and fighting for titles and stuff in the future. And then I think the next game, Sevilla, we really got to make a statement.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure that we show people, although we got all these injuries.
Bruno will be available this weekend. He won't be available on Thursday.
Yeah. It's just a Europa League ban. But how are you feeling for that game, Sevilla game?
It should be an interesting one. It should
make
for a better game at least than going in 2-0. Obviously, you'd want to go in with the lead, but you take what you're given.
I think it's going to be important for Anthony to sort of deliver on one of his chances because he does get a lot of chances in the game. And it's starting to get disappointing.
Part of our team now.
It is getting a little disappointing though when he misses a lot of them. And I know some of them go off the post and stuff. He gets a little unlucky, but you gotta capitalize on some of those chances.
His finishing definitely has to improve, and I think he had a very bright half hour to the game. Yeah, I'd say the first half. I think he was very bright.
I think he was taking on players really well too.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that too much from him.
Just dropping in deep. Getting the ball wide and creating attacks instead of just holding the ball at the halfway line and passing it back. It really pushes the team to go forward and play quicker and stuff. And I think the more he does that, taking on his man, and it's the better.
Yeah. And if we look at Maguire's performance, for example, I feel like he honestly wasn't that bad.
I don't think so.
He passed with a lot of confidence, and he in certain situations where previously I would have seen him clearing the ball long because he's under duress. It seems like he
just created a lot of unnecessary pressure for himself, and then just completely
fumbled the bag.
Fell asleep, got unlucky. Just anything bad that could have happened just happened, and just nothing went our way. Yeah, no
luck whatsoever. We go down to 10 men because of an injury. We've gone down to 10 men a couple times this season because of red cards, but now we go down because of injury. Not to mention, Sevilla could have had a red card in the first half of the game with the tackle from Lamela. We
didn't even talk about that.
I mean, what were your thoughts on that? Because at first
it was checked. They had a VAR check, but it's a tackle that you see so commonly given a red for. That the fact that he wasn't...
And when it's not given a red, normally you see commentators say it should be a red.
If the ref goes to the monitor and doesn't give a red, then it's okay, VAR did everything it could to
they didn't send him
give all the options available to the ref. They didn't send him to the monitor.
They didn't even send him to the monitor.
They said, no, this is not something that you should have a second look at.
Which I
think is insane because, Lamela didn't purposely step on him. You've seen Casemiro's reds. There was no intent in any of them.
Yeah.
In any of the two he's gotten.
The first one. The first one was just him trying to de-escalate the situation, and the second one was his foot went off the ball.
Went off the ball above.
And if we're calling that a red card,
malicious intent. And Lamela.
If we're calling that a red card, then why is this not a red card?
Both players kind of go away and try to avoid creating contact, and then Lamela gets his foot fully on Casemiro's leg like that.
Yeah,
and that could have injured him.
I always see opposing fans. Opposing fans were always, Casemiro. The second one was definitely a red card. And all right, fair play. If it's a red card, it's a red card. But that means tackles like those should also be red cards.
If that was Casemiro, it would have been a red.
I think so too. Yeah,
it would have been a red.
It would have been red, definitely. I just don't get it. I feel like nothing was really going our way after 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes. It seemed to be going really smoothly.
In the net 3 times. We'd scored, it was offside, but have scored in the first 30 seconds. And scoring 2 in the next 20 minutes. It looked like it was going to be a very bright and positive
to walk in the park, but it didn't turn out to be that way in the end. So,
which, I mean, it came down, I want to say it came down more to bad luck and unfortunate mishaps.
Yeah.
But I think we could have done a better job at controlling and seeing out the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough too when you go down to 10 men and you can't sub someone on. I don't understand why that's...
Well, we don't know the exact time Martinez went down and got injured. The exact time that
It was the goal.
Was
it was the 84th minute.
the goal?
It was the 84th minute. So
It was
for
their first goal.
yeah, it was like after the goal had happened, he had gone off the pitch.
So is it Martinez? Like it looks like he got his ankle caught in the turf or something and twisted something.
Yeah.
And then that's the giveaway that led up to them scoring the first goal.
Yeah, I mean it's just unfortunate because
you can't
sub someone on.
Stop the goal. You can't sub, but after the 84th minute, you should have been able to sub someone on.
I don't get it.
We should have had
because
like,
there's a rule. There's a rule in
Lindelof
place
coming
that
on.
if you get a head injury, right, you're allowed to sub someone on, even if you've already used all five of your subs.
Injury.
But I don't get why that's any different from an injury. You know, because
that's something.
I guess concussions are important, or
UEFA,
should be taken important.
That's something that UEFA has to look at, and the FA and the Premier League and see what, because that is like. There's nothing you can do about it. If you've used all your subs and you have an injury, then there's no reason you shouldn't have a disadvantage because some of your players got injured.
Yeah, and obviously
he's not faking it because he couldn't walk.
Yeah, and how are you to predict that he's going to get injured at that time, you know? Like it's just really tough. And it's one of those things where it's just kind of one of those rules that like it sucks, but it just is what it is, and we should have dealt with it better, but just nothing really going our way. I mean, I'm also not excited for the Brighton game, to be honest with you.
Oh my God, Brighton!
I'm not, because Brighton are flying.
Yeah, they've been doing well recently.
They're flying.
It's not gonna be easy.
Some of their players, some of their key players, Matoma, McAllister, Ferguson.
Assuming you get past Brighton in the semifinal, it's a potential Man City final.
Oh my God! And if
without a potential,
think about it too. If Man City were to win the Premier League and win the Champions League, I think the FA Cup the final would be before the Champions League final. So if we play them the FA Cup final and they beat us and then they go to win on the Champions League and they've already won the league, they'll win the treble while beating us in the FA Cup. That would literally be the worst situation ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd hope that we'd have our injuries back or our injured players back and be able to, actually use them for the FA Cup final if we do make it to the FA Cup final. But I don't know. It would just be such a sad way to end the season. Yeah.
After a season that didn't really have much expectations going into it, because we all knew after the end of last season that it wasn't. There were really no high hopes, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of hoping to see some sort of improvement in the way we played. Kind of seeing because when we had Solskjaer and we had Ralph Ragnick, it wasn't really I didn't see much in the way of, good pressing, good movements, good. There just wasn't a lot of tactical, coaching in there. So it was really tough, and we thought
it was good to see Ten Hag and what he's done to the team this season. I think he's really instilled a really good
winning mentality for sure.
I think he
still doesn't have the players though.
I know that's another thing. Depending on the ownership situation, which is another topic that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that
soon. Hopefully,
there's some updates soon.
Yeah, but that's dependent on that and whether there is a change of ownership, then what the transfer budget will look like this summer and what kind of targets we'll get in. So
I think this also shouldn't take away from Ten Hag's first year at United, because in the grand scheme of things, we never had any expectation to win a trophy, let alone if we were to win multiple trophies. So, I mean, I think he's done a fabulous job, and we're going on the right path. So even if we don't win another trophy, if we don't make top four, I still think we're going on the right path.
Personally, I wouldn't have called it a successful season if we had just gotten a top four, because to have a successful season, you should be winning trophies.
But our standards have dropped so low.
I think the media or everyone kind of put it on Ten Hag's shoulders that if we got top four and he kind of stabled the ship, then it would have been deemed as a success.
Yeah.
And he's far exceeded those expectations already.
Sure. For sure.
So the fact that we're even in this position, thinking about the Europa League and thinking about the FA Cup and top four and we already have the League Cup won already.
I think it's crazy too.
He's overachieved, definitely.
Oh, for sure. And with the squad we have, because you look at it Man City. Man City have the most depth probably in Europe.
Yeah.
And they didn't win the EFL Cup, but I mean, it's just the EFL Cup. But I mean, you lost to Southampton.
Yeah.
And then we literally have played the most games in Europe. We also have the
Yeah.
most. We might not have the most wins anymore, but
Probably not
at a certain
anymore.
point, we had the most wins, just because we had played more games than pretty much everyone. Because Ten Hag is trying to instill
Yeah.
every competition matters, guys. Like
Yeah.
we need to win as much as we possibly can. We're not just gonna throw this to the side like Spurs.
That's why I
We're trying
don't
to make
think
top
he's
four.
gonna throw aside any competition. I think he'll favor the Europa League ahead of everything else, but he's definitely not gonna play a weakened team in the FA Cup semifinal.
Yeah, I mean,
I know that for a fact. He's not gonna bench, his starters so they can get rest. He's gonna tell them like, you guys have to step
Yeah,
up
because I think
and play when it matters.
when you analyze each competition we're still in, if you look at the Premier League, it's still so important to get top four just because you can't bank all your hopes on us winning the Europa League.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the FA Cup, the reason the FA Cup is so important now is that if Man City were to win a treble, that would be horrible. So we could stop them there in the finals. And then also for the Europa League, like winning a big European trophy like that in his first season plus automatic bid into the Champions League would also be huge. So there's so many benefits to every single trophy and every competition we're in right now.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you. I don't think he's really going to stop, putting out his best 11 in the Europa. I don't even know what our best 11 is right now because of all the injuries we have.
Now,
but he's still going to put out the best possible 11 in each competition, I feel like. And I mean, I think after this summer and probably the next January transfer window or the summer after that, we'll start to see more depth in the way of he'll be able to rotate more.
I think
because
we've definitely made, obviously, signing Casemiro, it's a big signing, but I think signings like Sabitzer, signings like Malacia, those are smart signings because it adds to the depth that we have. And it's creating a more full squad of quality players.
Yeah.
Instead of having a thin, really good 11 and having no one to replace them when they come off, then having like look at City, they have 3 or 4 quality players in every position to call on.
Imagine this past summer they get Julian Alvarez coming in from the January transfer window.
Julian Alvarez is good
and
enough to be our long-term starting striker.
Yeah, Julian
Alvarez,
Alvarez,
a backup player, a backup striker at Man City.
Every time I see Julian Alvarez play, I'm so impressed.
I know.
And then they have Erling Haaland too. They literally got 2 of the best strikers in the world in one transfer window. And they didn't overpay for either of them either. It's just that's another thing with United too.
We signed Wout Weghorst from Burnley.
That's another thing with United too. We can never not, just because of the stupidity in management in previous years, splashing the cash on Maguire for 80 million or however much it was, and the decisions just make it impossible for us to get any bargains like that.
Yeah.
And then small things too, like not being able to capitalize on Ole's relationship with Haaland from Molde and trying to get him to come to United, but he goes to Dortmund because we didn't really.
Ragnick was scouting Alvarez. He wanted to sign him. Woodward said no.
It's crazy, man. There's just so many decisions that management has failed us with, and you can see the these band-aids aren't going to be helping us long term. They're going to be falling off, and their short-term fixes. Like, wow, I mean, I love him as a person, but there's no way
he has the quality.
We should ever sign him
to play
permanently. Never. Like, we need to stay as far away from that as possible.
You can press as much as you want. It's not going to help your ability on the ball.
Yeah, so let's just to end off the podcast, let's do some predictions for next week's 3 games. Nottingham Forest score prediction.
Forest, oh my god,
it's away as well.
I'd want to say we'd bounce back, but I think today is definitely a demoralizing.
Yeah.
It could have a demoralizing effect.
So what's your scoreline?
I want to say 1-0. I think we'll win.
1-0?
Yeah. I think we'll bounce back. I think it won't be easy, though.
I think just because of the backline movement we're going to have, I'm going for a 2-1 victory.
2-1 victory?
Martial scores 1, and maybe Anthony finally capitalizes on one of his chances.
Keep saying that every week.
Hopefully. We'll see. And then Sevilla and the Europa on Thursday. Huge game now. Huge game.
That's a big one. That's also contingent on what happens with.
I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it, but I smell a tie. A tie and then pens. And then us losing on pens.
I don't think I could go through another pen shootout.
I can't go through. Those are the worst. We already know what's going to happen with United. We haven't won a pen shootout in so long.
No.
All right, well, I'm just going to go for a tie and then pen shootout us losing.
we could
That's
win
my
in-
prediction.
I mean, they're gonna have their full team. Actually, no. One player is ruled out.
Yeah.
Is ruled out.
What's your scoreline prediction there for that?
We're not gonna have Rashford back. Shaw may or may not be back. It's hopefully Martial will be fit.
Are you going to be the optimistic fan or
Oh my
the
god!
pessimist?
I always want to be optimistic, but I want to be realistic as well. But I think we'll win. I think we've shown that we step up in the big games. 2-1.
2-1? Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be a
I don't
cracker.
really see us holding a clean sheet.
Imagine 95th minute. Maguire goes up for the corner.
Maguire header.
Maguire heads it in the top corner.
Yeah.
Everyone goes crazy. Oh my gosh, that would be insane.
That'd be insane.
All right, next up, Brighton. Brighton score prediction.
Ooh.
This one's tough.
I see this being a high-scoring game.
You do?
In my opinion. I think both teams are really good at creating chances. I think like the expected goals are always very high for Brighton.
Yeah.
At least.
I think De Gea could make some huge saves in that game that could save us. I could see like a...
What? Is that that's a week from this Sunday?
Yeah.
Right?
I could see a 3-2 victory.
3-2. I was going to say maybe even 4-3.
4-3?
I could see it being a goal fest.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all we got for y'all for this week's podcast for episode number 2.
Yeah.
Make sure that you follow us on Spotify. We're trying to get it up on Spotify. For now, it's only on Spotify podcasts, but we'll work out the kinks there.
We'll get it on the app soon.
We'll get on the app soon. So make sure you follow us. Listen to the whole podcast. Give us a like. I don't know. Can you even like on Spotify? I think you can.
So
We're new to this.
tell your
Give
friends.
us a break. Tell your friends. Tell your mother.
Spread the word.
Spread the word.
Spread the word.
And y'all have a good rest of your week.
Yep.